Welcome back to the Friar Talk podcast and YouTube channel. For today's episode, Ben is back on, and today we're going to be talking about Mike Clevinger, who is scheduled to make his rehab start on Thursday. We're recording this on Wednesday. I'm guessing we're posting this on Friday. So for this one, we're going to be talking about Clevinger, how he should be used, and him coming back, when he's going to be back, and just kind of what our expectations are for him this season, and then also how is he going to be used early on? Is he going to be a starter right away? Is he going to be gradually, worked up throughout the season? But Ben, what do you think about Mike Clevinger, and how do you feel like he should be utilized early on?
Well, first off, I think it's good that he's going to have that rehab start on, Thursday. And Kevin Acee said on the radio earlier today that Clevinger's probably going to have 2 starts. So I would think next week, 2 weeks when he comes back. And to be honest, I haven't heard how many innings he would be going in these rehab starts. So that definitely has to weigh into the decision of how they're going to utilize him. But when he comes back, he's going to start, I think. I'm pretty confident in that. Now, the big question for me is after he starts, who's going to come in after him? Because if they want to use him as a starter, right? He's one of the best pitchers on the team. They want him to be on the roster and use him however they can. And so if, let's say he goes 4 innings, right? Just first start out because of the knee and all of that, just first 4 innings. They have Gore up coming Friday probably. Do you piggyback Gore with Clevinger to have that righty-lefty there? I know they want Gore as a starter, but right now, and it is a good problem, but right now, just forecasting in the future a little bit, it seems like they're going to have a lot of options and too many options in terms of guys that can start games. But all those options they want on the major league roster as well. Like I was talking about this yesterday when the Gore news came out. I was doing my pregame show, and my first reaction was, okay, they're bringing up Gore, but they better not send him back down then. Like, what's the point of that? So it's just a weird situation where you want Gore to start, but Clevinger's going to start when he comes back. He's not going to come out of the bullpen. But I think that could be a good combination to have Clevinger and then Gore behind him. It's just a matter of if the Padres want Gore to be starting in the minors when Clevinger comes back. That's the big thing for me.
I really like that you brought that up, Ben, because that was my biggest worry too. Was what are you going to bring Gore up for if you're just going to send him back down? Like if he's gonna get brought up, you need to keep him on this roster, and whether that be keeping him as a starter, piggyback him with Clevinger if need be. Like you need to do something to give this kid some major league innings because you need to get him consistent innings, kind of like you need to get C.J. Abrams some consistent at bats. But yeah, it's just pointless to bring somebody up if you're not going to give him consistent starts. That's what I think. But with Mike Clevinger, how exciting is it? You're going to get back this guy. You traded a lot for him, but I mean, in a healthy Mike Clevinger season, you're getting your money's worth out of him. But the problem is he hasn't been healthy. Now, I personally think 2 or 3 rehab starts is good. Keep in mind, the only game he's pitched since that 2020 Dodgers series in the playoffs is a spring training game. And everybody knows how that went. That's not his fault. Like that was his first game action. 2 or 3 rehab starts is good. Get him some more game action down there. Because I don't want to rush him. I know I'm huge on Mike Clevinger. I think he's gonna have a great second half of the season, but don't rush him. What's the point? It's too early in the season to rush him in. But how exciting is it? We know he's gonna make his start on Friday. Mike Clevinger's start is in Single A, and Mackenzie Gore starts in the MLB. What a difference! It's kind of weird. But it's really fun, man. I'm so excited for Mike Clevinger. I hope you guys all are too, because he's got the stuff. He added a pitch. He's been working hard in his rehab to prove why we traded so much for him. I think 3-4 innings to start is good for him, kind of like a Blake Snell kind of thing. You know how they're gonna have him like on a 3 to 5 inning limit. I think that's good for him. Don't expect anything special to begin with. I think if you can piggyback him with Gore, or, if you want to throw Chris Matt out there for 2 or 3 innings after him, I think that's great. But yeah, really excited to see him back out there, man. I think he's gonna have a good second half, like I said. So hopefully we see him sooner than later.
Yeah, and I think that our Gore questions may be answered after his start. Like I was thinking about this because if you do bring him up and you just are like, okay, we don't know what we're going to do. Well, if he comes out and he looks really good, then you're forced to keep him on the roster. You're not going to have him come out and pitch really good against a very, very good Braves lineup and then send them back down. I don't think that makes much sense at all. And I feel like you guys probably feel the same way with me on that one. But say he comes up and he struggles. It's a learning experience. You send him back down. He works on some stuff. It's not a perfect situation, but I do think that it can be a way to develop a player where you just give them, okay, this is, you're going to, speed it up a little bit. You're going to go against a much better team, and we're going to throw you out like to the wolves basically. And you're probably going to struggle. And I think that might be what they're talking about. Hey, you might go out there and struggle, but we want you to play your game. We want you to locate. We want you to look confident out there. And then you send them down. And maybe they told them to. Maybe they said, look, we're going to bring you up. You're only starting one game. Maybe that is what they're planning on doing. So it is hard to tell right now, but I think after that start, I think we're gonna have a better idea just what it looks like. I don't know if that necessarily answers the Clevenger question, because like Blake Snell is probably going 3 to 5 innings. So is Blake Snell going to pitch with Gore? Is Clev going to pitch with Gore if he's in the pros? I don't know. That's the big question there. I would guess that Nabil Chrismat and will like pitch after Blake Snell, and then Clevinger will start, and he probably won't go over 5 or even 5 for a while, and then Gore will come in after him if he looks good on Friday. That's my thought. Now you could bring up, okay, like you have two extra starters basically in that sense. Yeah, but what if those guys go 8 innings every time they go out? That's huge. You don't have anyone else in the bullpen pitch. So I do think it can help your team a lot. It's a very unique way to organize a starting rotation because you have 3 starters and then you have 4 starters making up the last 2 spots, which is kind of odd. But it could really help this team a lot. And it's a way to utilize Mackenzie Gore if you think that he's a really good player right now. And if Clev is looking good and you have Mackenzie Gore looking good and he's the guy that we think he can be, that's huge. I mean, that is a nasty start right there. Like, you should win that game. It feels like 8 out of 10 times if those guys are what they've been what we think Mackenzie Gore can be and what Clevenger's been in the past. So there are obviously injury questions with Clevenger, but I do think that, like you said, it's a good problem to have a bunch of starters because, last couple seasons, it was quite the opposite. We're rocking with 2-3 starters pretty much throughout both of those seasons. That's not ideal to say the least. And this year it's like, okay, we have 5 guys we have a full rotation if you count Nabil Chrismat, but you're going to have an excess of starting arms. So it's a good problem to have. But Ben, anything else you want to add on Clev?
Just a little bit of a branching off about Clev, with the way that they utilize him. I think Nick Martinez is a big thing in this as well, because he's pitched well in spring training, pitched well against San Francisco. And so I think Clevinger would start. I think Snell will start when he comes back. So my question, and something to watch for, definitely any Padre fans watching this or listening to this, how Nick Martinez will do out of the bullpen when these guys come back, because they're not going to a 6-man rotation, I don't think. And I don't think that you're going to see Clevinger or Snell come out of the bullpen. And you have Manaea, Musgrove, and Darvish starting. And you're not paying Nick Martinez to not pitch. So he's going to come out of the bullpen at some point, and how comfortable will he be with that? But if he continues to pitch the way he is, the way he has in spring training, the way he did his first start, that's going to be a pretty good combination regardless of who you put him with.
Good point. I didn't think of that. Nick Martinez should absolutely, at first, like we keep talking about the piggybacks, he should probably piggyback Snell. You go from a lefty to a righty, give him each 3 or 4 innings. You save your bullpen. You could do that back-to-back nights, Clevenger and Gore, because, we brought it up. We already said it. You shouldn't send Gore back down if you're going to bring him up. He's dominating too much in AAA to send him back down. It's like he's done enough. He's done way too much at this point down there to warrant sending him back down. So 2 piggyback options. And I know Bob Melvin's talked about it. He's talked about the piggyback. He has entertained the thought, and at first, I wasn't a big fan of it. I don't know. I like my starters going multiple innings. I like them going out there. They're your best pitchers. I like them going out there and firing. But considering Clevenger needs time to ramp up, Snell needs time to ramp up, Gore needs innings. Martinez got signed to a nice little deal. He needs to get his innings in. I think this is a perfect way to do it. And I think that's how they should utilize those guys up until around June, early June, late May. And I think we'd see a lot of success that way.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it's going to be fun to see how this rotation plays out because it could go a number of ways, and it really just depends who's performing at the highest level, I think. So I think guys can get moved down the rotation. And we saw how great Sean Manaea has been. I think that he could be one of those fronting guys. He basically is right now. But it's going to be really interesting to see how everyone plays out, and how Blake Snell and Mike Clevinger look post injury as well. But hype that Clevinger's making his rehab starts and is coming back. But I think that's going to do it for today's episode. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you very soon.